Hi everyone, it's Simmer Hales. We're back in The Sims 4 and we're in Tiny Town and we're meeting our newest resident, Frank Stem. Frank is a flower arranger and gardener. I've changed it slightly. He likes farmhouse vintage and garden style and his favourite colour is green. So welcome to Tiny Town, Frank. His first job was to clean up all the deck because it got struck by lightning. Lightning is a problem in this area. It does seem to get a lot of thunderstorms here. So with his money that he made from the items in his box, he's bought 6 gardening plots so he can get started with his gardening skill. As I say, I did change him slightly because his thing was just flower arranging. So because he needs flowers for his flower arranging, I've also got him making money from gardening, so he's garden / flower arranger in this version of Tiny Town anyway. So yeah, he's got started on his skill, and also because we bought some animals in the last plot, he's also got an extra job of taking care of the animals. And I've got to say, Frank is pretty forgetful when it comes to his little llama and his 2 chickens. But I think they're a good addition to Tiny Town, and it's just a shame that the other residents who already live here don't help take care of the animals, but they seem to abandon them, which is not great. And bearing in mind they bought the animals, I wish they would take care of them, but they don't. So one thing is the bins do tend to overflow the dumpsters, so every now and again I will get Frank to go and dumpster dive just to clean up so we haven't got loads of flies and muck around the bins, because obviously that's not great for the community. So we do have a bit of a tidy up of the bins now and again. He's just making friends with the other 2 residents. So we've got Cypress, the original resident of Tiny Town, and Azure, and he's made a start on his flower arranging now, so hopefully he can start making some money off there. Nice little fertilising his pea bush. Oh, and Cypress is cooked, so that's some decent food for Frank, which does help when the other residents do something nice for the community. That's why this little community area in the middle is really good, because they get to meet other people, and sometimes you get treats like food. Cypress does have the glutton trait as well, which is why he's put on a load of weight. So I think we're gonna have to put Cypress on a diet because he's starting to really pile on the pounds now, and he's looking a bit unhealthy. Poor Cypress. So we need to get him moving and get a bit healthier. But him and Frank get on really well. Cypress and Frank get on really well, so that's good, because we want the Tiny Town to be a really good friendship group as well. So this is what the town's about. It's about having their own individual houses, but a community as well. So hopefully they can all start making friends. He's leveling up his flower arranging skill, and he's starting to make a little bit. Obviously the profit is really small when you first start out on the flower arranging skill. I mean, the first couple of ones you do, you actually lose money, which is a bit annoying, but it's just one of those things. But the more flowers you have for the arrangements that you've grown yourself, that cuts the cost of making it down, so then you're making more profit. So it's good to have the flowers in stock that you need to make the flower arrangements as well, and then you're not wasting money. That shed needs a good clean. The chickens look all right, they're quite healthy and happy, but yeah, the shed not looking so great. So Frank gives the shed a bit of a clean out, so it's nice and clean for Mr. Llama, and cleans the llama up as well because he's got a bit filthy in the shed. Cypress is wrong. This is going to sound crazy. I know we're friends, but well, here goes. I have a crush on you. Frank says, let's just be friends. I mean, poor Nin. Has Cypress forgot he's married? Unbelievable. Come on, Cypress. I think he must just be having a little bit of a crisis because he's married and he's just friends with Frank. So, yeah. No, Cypress, go back to your wife and you can be friends with Frank. I mean, he's a nice guy, but you're not going to be a couple. I'm sorry, Cypress, but Frank likes being single. He's single and happy and loving it. Single and loving it. That's Frank. So anyway, Frank's got over the shock of Cypress saying he wants to be more than friends. And they seem to have got over that little hiccup. They're playing together, playing games together, and chatting, having food. So yeah, I think they've got over that little hiccup. I think it was just a crazy moment for Cypress. Bless him. He can't forget about Nin. Him and Nin was brilliant together. So maybe she's abandoned him. Anyway, back to Frank. He's got a few more plants that he can pop in the ground and get planted. He's done some more flower arranging as well. Making sure he's tending to the animals, so he's doing well so far, but it's tiring him out. Like, his energy and his stats go down really quickly. I think he just popped in Cypress's house for a sleep, actually, which is not great. Use your tent, Frank. You can't use other people's houses. But back to the daytime. So it's nice and bright in Tiny Town today. And it's a really good job we didn't get Frank in winter, because could you imagine, we'd have had no plants. The flower arranging would have been horrendous because we'd have had to buy everything. So I'm glad we got Frank now rather than in winter. But it's the luck of the draw, so depends who you get. So he's gone to Hemford on Bagley. He's trying to buy some, I don't know if he's buying flowers or ingredients. What's he buying? Well, he's gone shopping anyway to get some local ingredients, and he's gone to make some friends. Although Frank does have the is it the lonely trait or the solitary trait? He likes to be on his own. So maybe this situation is difficult for him because there's a lot of people in one area. So this probably isn't Frank's greatest environment. He does like his own company, and he's quite happy pottering around Tiny Town and just doing his own thing. So his gardening skills, coming on great now. And that plant is crazy. It's a fly trap, I think. But it's thriving. He's got the TV premiere, so he's watching that. So at least he's took part in that event. Hopefully it was a good film or a good TV series or whatever. I wish Cypress would help him with these animals, because they're on his land, they're on Cypress's land, but it just seems to be down to Frank to take care of these animals. The shed gets filthy really quickly, which is not great. I will say, since I've filmed this episode, I have downloaded a mod to slow down the rate that the shed gets filthy, because it just seems to be constant. And obviously they've got other challenges to take care of, and so I just thought it was better to slow it down, so you can still take care of them, and we can't afford to hire anyone to help us with it, and so yeah, I just thought it was better to slow it down. So there is a mod where you can slow down the rate that the shed gets filthy. So yeah, mods can help with challenges. Or you don't have to have the animals. That is another way to play. It's just not have the animals. But the reason I wanted to keep the animals is because eventually the ingredients will come in for, like, the eggs will help the cooking skill for the cook. And the wool, I think, can be used for the knitting skill, possibly. So that might help later in the game. So I do want to keep the animals, but they're a bit of a challenge. Azura's having a little wander around. So she seems to get on really well with all the residents. She gets on with Cypress, and Frank seems to really like her. So she's definitely popular with the residents. I mean, Cypress is popular with Frank, or Frank is popular with Cypress as well. So, oh. See, this is what Tiny Town's about. Just them mingling, having a good time, and taking a picture together. Why not have a little selfie? You wouldn't have thought Frank would be into selfies, would you? He likes the simple life, does Frank? But yeah, a selfie with Azure. Why not? I love his boots. I love his red boots. And Azure's stylish no matter what she wears. She's just cool. So Frank's discovered a personality trait. He's got the artistic personality trait. So he probably will get on really well with Azure because she's an artist as well. So hopefully that will mean they get on really well and have similar interests. He's back to his gardening. But yeah, he's gotta get his needs all up because they're a bit low at the moment. He's travelled into Hemford. Is he getting some food, or is he just coming for a chat? Meeting some people, having a bite to eat, and then that should sort him out for the day. And he's gone back home, and he's having a little bit of a move around of the furniture. And now he needs to concentrate and get this flower arranging skill up. Make some money. He does need a bit more money. But his plants are starting to evolve, which is a good sign. So he's going to get better quality flowers, which will hopefully increase the price of his bouquets that he makes. And the community centre's coming in really handy for him because the little bathroom, although it's small, it's got everything he needs. It's got a toilet, which breaks a lot, the shower and a sink. So he's got everything he needs, although it's very plain. But hopefully Frank can add his own additions to this as well if he makes enough money. But obviously at the minute he hasn't even got his own house, so he can't really help with the community centre too much. But with the what are these called? Like the vertical gardens, I think they was added by Azure, so Frank's added some plants to them as well. So that's his first contribution, adding a few plants that people can harvest crops from. So he's helping the community out that way. Poor Frank, he keeps falling asleep looking after the animals. He's getting exhausted. Every day it's just exhausting for him. So back to sleep in his little tent. He still hasn't made his house yet. I just think it's so much easier once they start to have an actual room that they can live in. So he's just purchased another dumpster to try and make it easier when looking after the animals, because the trek from the dumpster to here is pretty long. So, and we're just adding a few decorations to this area. These are all debug items, so they don't cost anything. But just to make this area look a bit more lived in, because it just looks really plain. Like when the animals come out to graze in this little field, I know it's only small, but it just looks really plain. Like they need some hay bales or something just to make it look lived in. So these ones do actually cost a bit of money, but I think it's worth it just to have this area that the animals can come out in, and it just looks a bit nicer for them. So yeah, we've got a nice little cozy area for the animals to come out and play in or graze in. I wish you could have 2 llamas in this shed, but you can only have 1, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, the animals are actually coming on really well. They're pretty happy at the moment, well fed and clean, which is the main thing. Make sure they're clean and fed. So Frank's just filled up the food there with the hay. Chickens look okay. The llama needs a bit of attention as well. So, but he's happy. He's happy. Sunshine. Ray of sunshine. It is a ray of sunshine, this llama. So, he's making friends with the chickens. So the chickens are called Alice and Eggy, I think. Could be wrong. Eggy. I think it is. Alice and Eggy. Very different names. I think it should be called Egbert anyway. We maybe need to change that chicken's name, because I don't really like the name Eggy. It's not the nicest name. Frank's cracking on, getting his skills up again. As yours, just asking him for some advice, and yeah, talking to the plants. I don't know if that does help the quality of the flowers that you get, but we'll give it a try. It does also help improve your gardening skill when you're talking to the plants. So that is one thing that does help. He's evolving some more plants and getting on with his daily needs. So shower, food. His energy's low again. His energy does drain really quickly, actually. I don't know if it's because he's older, which would make sense. But his energy does drain really quickly. He's trying to make friends with the fox, because we want to stop the fox going for the chickens. But the fox doesn't seem to want to listen, because obviously the chickens are a target for Foxy. But we want him to stay away from the chickens, because we don't want anything to happen to our chickens. If the chickens go, we've lost our supply of eggs. So that's what we don't want to happen. Frank wakes up and starts his gardening again. You've got to really be on the ball with the gardening, because other people tend to come along and harvest crops and get involved with the gardening without you asking them to. So that can really affect your profit margins if other people are harvesting what you've grown. So yeah, you've got to be really on top of the game with the gardening skill. We are finally getting some walls and a bit of a house together for Frank, so it'll probably start off pretty basic, but it's whatever we can afford at the minute with Frank's budget. So he has over 10,000, which isn't a bad start for building a house. But remember, his style is a bit more fancy. He's got the fancier style farmhouse that he likes. So that might cost a little bit more to put together. Obviously the roofs are free, but the pillars, they cost a bit of money, and then the fences, and it all starts to add up. So his favourite colour is green, but we're not going to go full on green, but we're going to make sure, you can definitely tell looking at his house he likes green. So yeah, this is the start of Frank's house, and hopefully, I mean, actually it's got quite a bit of green with the green trims and things, but the walls are white. So I think this house is also built in a style that I don't really build in very often. Like, I don't build patios with these fancy, I don't know what it's called, like the curving at the top. I don't really build with those very often. So this build also takes me out of my comfort zone of building, which is the other good thing about this challenge, because each build has its own unique style. It makes you build in different styles than you usually would. So with Frank's house, I really wanted to get the outside looking right, which made furnishing inside really difficult. And also, although it looks like a big house, it's really quite small. his living space isn't that big. And you'll see when we come to decorate it that it's not a big house at all, but it looks big from the outside. So it's definitely a tiny home. But yeah, it took a bit of figuring out, this one. But I think it looks nice by the end. Even the layout took a while because I was struggling with this one, especially with the big front doors, and bearing in mind it's not a big room. It took a real long time to figure out how to furnish this one. I like the different colour for the chimney. I think that it just makes it stand out a little bit, and I think that looks really nice in this build. But I think it is quite a cute house. It's definitely got its own style. And then it was like figuring out where to put the back door, because obviously this just ends up looking a bit like a corridor, and it needed to have a back door just because of the layout of the plot. Some of the, Azure's has got a back door. Cypress's house doesn't have a back door, but his is right at the back of his plot, so his garden is at the front of the house, so he didn't really need a back door. Azure's she has got a back door, but it's just to a little patio, outside dining space. And Frank's needed a back door because what my plan was all along was to have a separate greenhouse for him, so he needed to have a back door. But otherwise you could have probably used the space better if it only had the front door. But I thought with the deck going all around the house as well, it really did need to have a front and a back door. So it's just a very, very small house. Maybe a ladder would have been better, but Frank's too old to use a ladder, so it had to have stairs. But I think the look of the house is starting to come together. He's kind of run out of money at the moment to furnish it any further, but it's starting to get its own unique look, which is nice. And he's got his stairs in so he can get in and out of his house. But I don't think he's got a bed yet, has he? I don't know if we could have afforded a bed. Or has he got a bed? He might have. Maybe he's got a bed. Yeah, I think a bed went in. I'm so confused. So yeah, just to note that I did film this quite a while ago, but I've had a cold, so my voice was not the best, so I couldn't really film it with the way I was sounding, but I still sound a little bit croaky, I think, but not too bad. So hopefully it's not too annoying. That I have been full of cold. So yeah, he's back to gardening and taking some pictures. What I thought was, if he has some pictures of his plants, he could pop them as little decorations in his house. So trying to make each one unique to the character. I love this green kitchen as well. I think that's pretty unique. The layout of this room was a struggle. I did really struggle with this layout. When it's finished, I really like it, but getting to that finished bit, it really seemed to take me a long time to figure out how to put this room together, because obviously the kitchen takes up quite a bit of the space, let's be honest, and I wanted to keep to the style, but with very limited space. So you'll probably be able to see it's been a struggle, this one. It really has been a struggle, but I just liked the style of the outside, so I didn't want to change that, which meant a bit of compromising on the inside. But yeah, we're kind of getting there. It was a struggle, this one. He's got his little granddad chair in the corner, which I really like. I think that's a nice little touch. and some rocking chairs because, you know, maybe he likes to knit, not as his money-making skill, but just as a hobby. So he's got that skill as well. A little dining table. And he can finally get out the back of his house as well now. So I did try loads of different doors. It was a massive trial and error, this house. But some of the doors just did not suit the build, even though I think it would have looked better with a single door, but it just didn't suit the build. So we couldn't use one of the single doors. We need like a fancy door, but a smaller size. That's what this build needed, but we just didn't have it. So we've got these two big doors in a really small room, and for some reason it still looks dark. But that's probably because of the roof around the outside, so the light's just not coming in properly. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like the two big doors and the room still feels really dark. But he has got a bed. He's got a bedroom. It is very green. It's got a very green bed. Even the side table is very green. But it's got everything he needs in that little bedroom. Frank's very focused this morning, so he can crack on with his daily tasks. And he's got a proper kitchen now, so hopefully his hunger will be... Oh, Beatrice has come to see him. Hopefully now he can cook proper meals, his hunger will be more satisfied. Because obviously when you're just having the things from the cool box, they don't really fill you up properly. Oh, poor Frank got struck by lightning. So he looks filthy right now. It's always the lightning strikes. Like he doesn't have much luck, poor Frank. He looks so sorry for himself right now. So you need to clean up, Frank. You can't just leave things everywhere. I think this becomes the final layout of the kitchen. I could be wrong, but I think this is the final layout of the kitchen. But I think that just leaves the rest of the space open, which is really needed because it's just not a big space. This table, I think, really fits the theme of this house. Like it's farmhouse, it's like reused because the timber looks like it's been reused. So I think that really fits this theme really well. And then it's just furnishing around it so it feels like a complete room because it is a big table in a small space. But I just thought let's make a feature of it. So Frank set the table because he likes everything finished and having its own place. And he's added his pictures of his plants outside. It's just nice little touches like that make it feel really well lived in, I think. So we had a few more decorations to Frank's house just to make it feel a bit more homely and also keep within his style. I think the old photos look like maybe photos from his younger days, maybe when he was previously married, maybe his wife's passed away, I'm unsure. We don't know his history, but this is what I think. And his little cosy granddad corner is coming on quite nicely. So he's got some books and a little lamp, so he can sit in the corner and have a nice little read with the fire on. And I think that would be a really cute little corner for him. Add some little window decorations. I think that just finishes the room off as well. So it's starting to come together, his very small kitchen, living room, dining room. And he's only got the one chair, but then the dining room's big, so he's got all those chairs for guests. And then Frank gets the comfy chair in the corner because he deserves it. Back to his gardening and flower arranging to make a little bit more money. So we're trying to get his aspiration up as well. So he's got to get his gardening skill maxed. He's got to get the flower arranging skill maxed. So this is all part of his aspiration as well. And the aim is to finish his house and his aspiration. That'll be when Frank's journey is finished. So that's what we're aiming for. Frank now has a full kitchen to be able to use. So he makes himself a nice breakfast. Or is it a dinner? I don't even know what time of day it is anymore, poor Frank. He's focused. He's cleaning them bins out again. And upgrading his sink. Because he's pretty good with his handiness skill. I do like Frank's bathroom. I mean, it's not the usual style that I build in, but I do quite like that. I think it really suits his house with like the Victorian toilet with the cistern above as well, like higher up. I think it really suits his house aesthetic. He's taking care of the plants in the community area as well, and had a little chat with his yo, and then cleaning the animals or looking after them. Just getting rid of a few things in the dustbin as well. This dustbin's starting to get full. Taking care of the chickens. I did look at getting another animal, but it only fits the one llama in the shed. And I just thought it'd be nice to have two in that shed, because then he would have had Sunshine would have had a friend. But I don't understand why you can't have two in there, because it's a decent sized shed, so it would have been nice to have two. Unfortunately not. So he's just going to make a bit more money. He needs to save up so that he can buy a greenhouse. So that's his kind of next goal, is to have his own greenhouse. So his money's looking all right at the minute. Has he got 12,000 simoleons there? So, yeah, his money's not doing too bad. But also he's got bills to pay as well. So you've got to think about the bills. And the more residents we get in, the higher the bills are, because they've all got their own appliances. This adds to the bill. The more things you've got on the lot, the bills go up. So this is the juggling act of getting the bills, and he's on to the next bit of his aspirations, so that's good. We're going in the right direction. And Frank's gardening, he's definitely getting the better quality plants, which improves his flower arranging as well. So see which bouquets he can make with the plants that he's got. And we're just moving a few decorations around. Cyprus has come to help with the gardening. Frank's, I don't know what he's doing there. He was dithering about with that bouquet. Maybe he was having second thoughts about that one. Sometimes they just freeze in the middle of doing an activity. I don't really know why. And the chimney, I just decided to change the brick texture because I just thought it looked a bit too harsh on the house. I think this new one goes with it a lot better, and just change the foundation as well, and I think that all kind of merges together. It looks like it's meant to go together there. And I think that new brick, it just doesn't stand out as much. It looks like it belongs on the property. The other one stuck out maybe a little bit too much. So yeah, that was the reason for changing it. So now we've got enough money to build Frank a little greenhouse at the back of the property. So we wanted like a Victorian style greenhouse. So we just had to move a few things around to fit this in. It did take over where the fence went, but this is part of Frank's kind of aspiration, so this is needed. Well, not that he needed a greenhouse, but he did need a greenhouse. So I was going to have like a fancy front entrance, but the space in the greenhouse was more important. So we've got the standard shape of the greenhouse, but instead of having glass all the way around, I thought it'd be nice to have a bit of an area where he could do his flower arranging that's undercover, because where he was doing it, he was getting rained on, and obviously there is a lot of storms in Henford as well, so I thought it was better to have him do his flower arranging indoors, and then he's not affected by the outdoor elements. Also, the plants in the corner, you can use them, but you need to make sure the arrow's pointing diagonally. I didn't realise that at first, so I think I do go back and change it. But then them planters in the corners can be used as well, as long as they're pointing diagonally, so that it goes to, so the sim can access them, and then they work okay. So we've got a nice little decorated bit on the inside as well, so Frank can do his flower arranging somewhere pretty. And I just wanted like a little decoration in the corner, so that it looks like maybe something Frank's grown, and it's a nice little decoration there. So I think we just put a plant in the corner, and it just finishes that off. So I think this area looks really nice. And then just finish it off with a couple of lights. And that's his greenhouse pretty much done. Put some lights above the door as well. And yeah, that's the greenhouse. So hopefully that fits the aesthetic of vintage farmhouse greenhouse. But yeah, Frank's house is pretty much done now. He's got his little rocking chair. How cute is that? That's so cute. So he just sat rocking, thinking about life, thinking about his memories at his house, on his porch. That's probably the dream life, isn't it? Like, you're just thinking back over your life, and you've got that nice little area to do it. So yeah, Frank's living the good life now. He's not in a tent anymore. Look how far he's come since the beginning. He's gone from sleeping in a tent to all of this. This is a good transition for him. So Frank has enough in his inventory to fill the stocks up in the greenhouse. So he's got some plants growing in his greenhouse, which is a nice start for him. So I think we've got roses in there. The pear, I did try to put pears in there, but they need like a 4 square plot. So I only put 1 pear in the end, because I don't think you need any more than that for a pear tree. And then the rest, I think we've got grapes. I think we've got a couple of flowers in there as well. So obviously the roses, we've got 3 roses in there. And that will help create some different flower arrangements as well, because roses are part of some of the flower arrangements, so that will give us access to some of them others as well. And also he put some plants in the vertical planters as well. So his greenhouse is coming on quite nicely. I really like the look with the green background in there. And he's got enough money to put a few extras in his house as well. So we've got a little TV on this mantle on the fireplace. And you have to physically place that. It doesn't just snap to that. But I just thought that was a nice little extra on the fireplace. It looks like it belongs there as well. And then we've got these extra decorations. So we've got the heart decorations. We've moved the pictures of the flowers near his little granddad corner. And then we've got all these kitchen decorations. So this definitely adds to the farmhouse vibes, I think. So we've got some little herbs in there, pans, knives, and kitchen utensils, and then some decorations on the table to make it feel really lived in. Yeah, and you can see the pictures now just in his little corner. And I was looking for like a bookshelf that would fit next to this door, but obviously there's not loads of room because of the windows, but you need the light coming in. So we've just made this little shelving unit. Well, they're like little cupboards, so they maybe hide his whatever he's got, I don't know, slippers, anything else, they can just be shoved in these little cupboards. And then some books on top of it. And then we've got a few more decorations added to the worktops because, like I say, because it is such a small room, it's fitting all of his living stuff in one room basically. So a lot of things would be on display, I think. I did like this little cute, I think it looks like an elephant kettle. And I thought he'd still be able to use the stove because they only use the front bits, but he can't. So that does eventually get moved. Although we do keep it, but it does get moved because then he can't use the cooker. Even though it's not slotted on there, it's just placed manually. But yeah, he can't use it. So it's no good if you can't use his cooker. We'll put a vintage mirror in his room. And just a couple of little extra knickknacks in there. Just to finish that space off. And I think that makes the room come together quite nicely. So he's definitely got a very comfortable living space now. No, we can't fit a big fish tank in there. I don't know what I was thinking with that. But he's got some little decorations. He's got a smaller fish tank on his dresser. And I was thinking he could do with an activity in here. But a lot of the activities didn't really suit his personality. And I think with the rocking chairs, he could do some knitting or cross-stitching on the porch. So he has got that option. But yeah, a lot of the activities just didn't really seem to fit his personality. So we didn't go with them in the end. And he's got some little lights and a chessboard, which I did thought... It's maybe when you're retired and you're doing your gardening, you would play some chess. So I thought that went with his personality a bit more. And then I just decided to shrink the kitchen a little bit and put some bookshelves in. And then it looks a bit more like, it just adds a bit more lived in variety in this area. So, and he can still use the stairs. I have tested it and he still can use the stairs even with these bookshelves underneath. So yeah, it's definitely looking more cluttered. But in a house this size, I suppose you would, unless you're really good at clutter management, then it would look a bit more like this, where you've got everything on display because there's no storage areas for you to keep everything. So he's tested his kettle out, so he can have a nice little cup of tea now in his corner. And he's happy. I mean, look at his environment now. He's got a gorgeous garden, his greenhouse. He's making loads of money from his gardening. And he can get rid of that little fenced off area now because he can actually do his flower arranging inside. So he's got a proper defined garden area now, which is nice. And then I was just trying to figure out how to kind of define his space. This will change. This is just it's kind of trying to figure out how you get to each lot. So I was trying to mark it off, but I know it looks horrendous, pretty much horrendous right now. But this will change, and it's just defining the spaces. So yeah, you just have to kind of go along with the process with this tiny town. It's not always going to be perfect, but I think it's just figuring out what you want from each space. So this front area I thought would be the selling space, and whatever each new resident like makes their money from could be done in this space at the front of the property. But obviously this just keeps changing as we go along, so it's not always that defined. But the community centre stays as a community centre. That is defined. It's just everything else that keeps changing. I didn't realise when I changed the roof at some point, some of these solar panels do disappear and I don't realise, and then I have to buy some more later on. But at some point they do disappear and I'm not really sure when. And I've only realised with the recent instalment of my latest character that the solar panels had gone. So I am quite far in front with it. It's just having the time to come back and edit each video that I'm struggling with. So I'm trying to get on top of each character's edit, and then we'll try and get them all uploaded. So yeah, Frank is he the third resident? We've got Cypress, Azure, Frank. Yeah, Frank's the third resident of Tiny Town, and I think he's had the most difficult challenge so far, just because of the animals, which Azure didn't have and Cypress didn't have. So he has had it tough compared to those two. But as I say, with each new character, the bills are higher. So I think by the time we get to the last character, it's going to be a huge challenge. I think Cypress had it really easy when he moved in. Although he didn't have the community centre, so that was the difference with him. But his bills were really low. So in that sense, he did have it the easiest. You know, there was no luxuries, but also no big bills. So I don't know. Who do you feel sorry for the most? The people who are coming in with the massive bills but no money, or the ones with no luxuries but low bills? I don't know if there's an easier way to do it. Like, I don't know. Give you suggestions the way you play it. But I don't know. I don't know who's got it easier. Probably the people at the beginning, I think. I think personally the people at the beginning, but I don't know. Maybe not. So he's back in his greenhouse, getting his flower arranging skill. He must be nearly levelled to the top now. His gardening skill, I think, is pretty much there. But his flower arranging skill is still needing some work. So he's cracking on with his gardening. He just needs to finish off this flower arranging first, but cracking on with his gardening and evolving some more plants, which is good for his skill as well. Oh, and he's just levelled up to level 9 gardening, so he's nearly there. Just needs to hit one more to max his gardening skill, which will be a big part of his aspiration. But yeah, like I say, he just needs a bit more work on his flower arranging skill to get that back up as well, because we need to max both. So he's getting there, but it does take a lot of grinding with the flower arranging skill. So it's bouquet after bouquet, and I have tried to cut some of it out so you don't see all of the grind of the flower arranging, because it does take a long while. It's great him gardening while he's focused as well. I don't know if that makes it faster, but I assume it would, maybe. I don't know, but I think it would. He's increased his handiness skill as well. He does like handiness as well, so that will make him a great roommate as well, because he will help upgrade things. The roommates do upgrade things, so that's one good thing about them. They don't take care of the animals, but they will upgrade random items. One thing I did cheat in the game is I couldn't get I don't know what they're called, like the upgrade parts for the shed and the chicken coop. So I did get them from the debug menu so that I could upgrade them, because obviously when new roommates are moving in, they're going to take on the responsibility of the llamas and the chickens. And because of the foxes coming constantly, I did want to upgrade the chicken coop. And I also wanted the auto feed just to make it easier for the next residents moving in. So although I wanted to upgrade them, you need, I can't remember what the part's called, but you get it from doing errands in Henford-on-Bagley. And I did a couple of errands, and then I still didn't get the part that's needed, and I thought to grind those as well, it was going to be a bit too much. So I just ended up getting them from Debug, which I know is a cheat, but it was one I wanted. I don't know if you just saw, but he did finally max his gardening skill, so that's fantastic for Frank. He's completed one part of his aspiration, which is to max the gardening skill, but he also needs to max his flower arranging. He needs to also get a cow plant. That's part of the aspiration, so he needs to grow one. So that is something else that he's not even started on because he's not planted one yet. He's just replacing a few of the items in the community centre, which I think got lost, or not sure what happened to them, but he's just replaced them anyway and put a couple of decorations in there. And he's just cooking himself a nice hearty meal. So I think he's getting a bit tired, bless him. That's when I realised that he couldn't use the cooker. So he just moved that little elephant kettle, and he's added a few extras to the community centre, which I think are nice little additions. So he's put a magazine rack in there, so there's things for people to read. He's put the cross stitch kit in there as well, so people can now do some cross stitching in the community centre, and added a little cosy light as well. And he's done some gardening, and he's just popping along to Forgotten Hollow in Oasis Springs. You just have to open this little cave at the back of the park, and then you can go down to Forgotten Hollow. This is one of probably the easiest way to get the cow plant seeds. I don't really know what they're called, but then you can plant it, and that's probably the easiest way to get it. You can get it from fishing, but I think Forgotten Hollow is probably the quickest way to get it. So I didn't have to go there for long, and then we got the cow plant, so that's the next part of his aspiration. And he's just taking care of the llama again, who gets unhappy pretty much every day for being unclean. And the chickens are pretty much happy. They're pretty happy chickens. He got a bit cold there. Obviously, I think it's autumn now, so it's getting a bit cooler for Frank. But he's talking to his plants and trying to get them to be the best quality plants. Come back to take care of Sunshine and Alice and Eggy. Yeah, that shed. Do you know, I'm so glad that people have come up with mods to sort that out, because it just gets mucky so quickly, and it just feels like that's all you do is clean the shed out. So Frank's journey's been a difficult one because of the animals. I think without those it would have been an easier journey. Maybe too easy, so maybe it's been a good thing to have the animals to make it challenging. But it's been a struggle with the llama and the chickens. And how much, well, not the chickens have actually been pretty easy. I would say it's the llama that's been difficult, and I don't think it should be as difficult as it's been. And if the roommates could help, then that would be even better, but they don't. His plants need a good weed, and they've got some weeds around them, so they need taken care of, which is done. The chickens have got plenty of feed. I mean, look at all that feed. He's just leveled up his handiness. But yeah, as you can see, the chicken coop has now got the upgrade of the alarm. So if any foxes come near, that alarm will sound, which will scare the foxes off. So that is a good addition to the chicken coop. And having the auto feed just means they're not going to starve. But obviously you still need to go and clean them every day and just make sure they're okay. Give them a bit of attention. The plants in the community area just need a bit of attention as well. Got some flies around them, so they need a bit of a spray and a bit of care, really. But his house is finished. I'm really pleased with Frank's house. He's getting to be a good cook now. He's good at handiness, cooking, gardening and flower arranging. So he's a bit of an all-rounder, is good old Frank. Having a little nap. His cow plant's still not grown. That does take a while. I'm not sure how many days it takes to grow, but he's talking to it, giving it good attention. So hopefully that'll turn out to be a good quality cow plant, and making sure these animals are good. But Frank's journey is pretty much complete. Other than the cow plant, he's finished his aspirations. He's leveled up in everything, and he's done an amazing job at fitting into Tiny Town. He's kind of developed the community centre, added his own little touches to it. One thing is the additions to the community centre that Frank's going to make will be done after his journey's finished, because this ended up being a video that was longer than I thought it was going to be, and I had to edit a lot of Frank's parts out. So I will show you Frank's additions to the community centre in the next part. I will just pause the video at the beginning to show you them. But he does add some money to the community centre, which is the upgrades we do with his money. So I will show you them. But yeah, Frank is pretty much done. We're just waiting for that cow plant to grow, and then he is all finished. So he's just cleaning those solar panels, checking on the animals. I don't know what ingredients he was going for, but just had probably his last visit to Hemford on Bagley as the main character of Tiny Town. Did a bit more gardening and popped in his greenhouse before heading into bed. Oh no, he had one last meal and then headed to bed. And then hopefully this cow plant will grow overnight. Doesn't it look funny when it's on the night time and the plants are just wobbling around? It looks so funny. And he's finally he's hit his aspiration. That cow plant has grown, and that finishes Frank Stem's journey. So I hope you've enjoyed the journey with Frank. It's definitely been a grind. His gardening and flower arranging was a massive grind, but he is complete, and I'll show you his upgrades to the community centre in the next part of Tiny Town. So please hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any future ones, and subscribe if you're enjoying the videos. I'll see you in the next part of Tiny Town. Take care everyone. Bye bye.